is turning black. Something in that line, I'm thinking what you said. Something in my eyes, remember what you had. I've never been that bad. So remember what you had. I'm never coming back. So remember what you had. I'm never coming back. Smoke a cigarette, remember what you had. Know that I forget, and that's why I'm feeling bad. Smoke a cigarette, then take another drag. Smoke a cigarette, remember what you had. I've never been that bad. So remember what you had. Remember what you had. I'm never coming back. So remember what you
Good evening, everybody. How we doing? Good to see everybody here. Oh man, okay, stop yawning. What's up, Austin? We got about 56 people in here right now. I don't recognize too many of the people in the chat. So I did a post on low volume. That better? The British guy. So I did a post on YouTube, just a regular post that today I installed a Goodman condenser, and I said that I would explain why on this live stream. So I installed a Goodman condenser today because, all right, I took over this customer who had a Nordyne system put in, and they've had a lot of trouble with it since it was put in. I recommended a new condenser and coil at the same time, and she declined. And I had some trouble finding the leak. So I did a dye test, and Anyway, I did a dye test and found that the evaporator was full of dye. Now, this Nordyne gas furnace, the vent pipe went. This is an 80% furnace because we don't, we don't have 90s here. So the vent pipe, if you're looking at the furnace, was on the left, and it goes straight up. And the closet was tight. I didn't have room to make all kind of stuff. So ADP, Ream, ICP, Carrier, all of them, all their copper came out and the drain on the left. Now, ADP, you can drain it on either side, but the copper was really the important thing. The only manufacturer that made a cased coil, an upflow, downflow cased coil, where the copper was on the right and the drain was on the right, just like the Nordyne. I wasn't getting another Nordyne. The only other manufacturer that made that was Goodman. So I said, well, she's going to have to get a Goodman coil. So I put a Goodman coil. This was a few months ago. I tried to get her to do the condenser at the same time. She didn't want to. Well, she called me out yesterday and said that the unit had quit cooling. I found it low on Freon, and I found that the microchannel condenser outside had started leaking. And she just put her hands over her eyes. And I said, that's why I told you a couple months ago, whenever we did the coil, we should have did the condenser as well. Or it may have been more than a couple months. It's been a little while since I did that coil. She goes, so what do we do? I said, well, I'm going to put you some Freon for tonight. And, y'all need to make a decision on, if y'all want to see how long it's going to last or if we're going to change the outdoor unit. And the husband was like, no. Change the outdoor unit. I'm tired of playing this. We should have did it like you said last time. Change it. We also changed the line set when we changed the coil a while back because I had a suspicion that the line set was leaking as well. So we did the coil and the line set several months ago. So today we swapped out the condenser and I put a Goodman. I mean, I didn't want to have three different brands, Ream condenser, Goodman coil, Nordyne furnace. So I put a Goodman. We got a Johnstone now. I really like dealing with them. They're good to me. So I just put a Goodman condenser and, it did fine. Really happy with the way it came out. Should have a picture of it here. Yeah, let me blow this up. Don't tell me it's going to do this again. I fixed this problem. All right. Well, it's acting stupid again. Saying the browser will not let me do it. I was going to show y'all. It came out really nice. I mean, I literally just fixed this damn problem. I don't know. Hey, Rich, how you doing? You're not supposed to use any chemicals at all on the micro channel. Whoever said that, Austin, it's really not good to use any chemicals at all whatsoever. I'm trying to fix this screen sharing issue. All right, let me try this again. No, it's still not letting me do it. You know what? Maybe if I update Google. Ooh, but it might kick me off if I do that. Oh well. I just won't be able to share the screen again tonight. I need to. I'm always updating Google Chrome, so I'm afraid if I do it right now, though, it wants to relaunch, so it's probably going to kick me off of here. But anyway, so is the Viper coil cleaner only coming in the little bags now? Are the jugs gone? Is just the bag? Am I correct there? Because I've heard they're safe for the it won't peel the paint off of a carrier or an ICP. Because John, nobody here carries Viper coil cleaner, so John Pastorello is a good friend of mine, the owner of Refrigeration Technologies, and he'll send me some stuff every year, and he sent me a bag of each coil cleaner, the yellow, the green, and the blue, and it's in like a little bag. Yeah, it must be only coming in the bags now. Oh, the supply house has both. Okay, I got you. All right, so we got about right at 100 people in here. We'll get on with tonight's topic, dealing with a difficult customer. And you guys are more than welcome to chime in. I'll put the phone number up in a minute. I'm going to talk a little bit about uh, a situation that I had arise, uh, and see what you guys think, and if you've ever had anything like this. So, I'm going to start off with the first one. I've only had two difficult customers in the last 4 years, so I've been fortunate. Um, Last year, I did a complete system for the downstairs for a lady and swapped out the condensing unit for upstairs because the indoor air handler was made for 410A, so we just changed the piston. So I set two condensers and one air handler. Why this lady chose me, I have no idea. She tried to Jew me down on my price. She made us wear masks the whole time. I laid multiple drop cloths on the ceiling and everywhere that we were stepping to get to the units. So I don't think the lady liked me from the get-go. So the day that I get done installing the new systems, she makes an appointment with another heating and air contractor to come check my work. And I get a phone call from her the next day, and she's like, "Hey, I had another company come check your work because I just felt like, you were doing something wrong." And I said, lady, the units were cooling great when I left yesterday. She said, yeah, but the man said that you put the heater kit in upside down on the new unit. I've been selling Ream for years. And I'm like, and you can't put that thing in upside down. And I said, really? I said, is he still there? No, but he'll be back in a minute. I said, okay, well, I'm going to come meet him over there. So I ran over there and I met him. And I said, show me how I put that heater kit in upside down. I said, you know, it's a Ream and Root. I've been selling this product for a long time. That heater kit will only go in one way because, you know, you got to put the top part against the top and put 2 screws there. So I said, dude, I know I didn't put the heater kit in up backwards. And he's like, oh, you're right, man. I'm sorry. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I looked at it wrong. I'm sorry, ma'am. I looked at it wrong because she was standing right there too. He put it in there right. So, you know, and I was like, you know what? I didn't do shit wrong, you know? Anyway, the lady stopped payment on my check. I had to get cops involved. Now, this was last year, last March. I got the cops involved and I ended up getting another check. I got paid and everything worked out. Of course, she went to the Better Business Bureau's website and left a bad review and report on me, you know, which is fine. You know, I mean, you're not going to please everybody. And nobody looks at the damn Better Business Bureau anyway, not over here. So anyway, what really sparked up this conversation is the most recent customer. So I have had this customer, and last year I put in a new condenser and a new furnace for him. The first time I went to his house was for a basic maintenance. He had a weak capacitor and he was a little low. Oh, I'd say more than little. I put about 3 pounds of R22. You know, went in the attic, found the leak in the evaporator. It was a Goodman system, and made him aware of that. And he's like, okay, you know, well, we'll see how long it lasts. I said, okay, that's fine. So he called me back 3-4 months later, and he was low on charge again, not as low as the first time, but still low. So I told him, I said, dude, you're low on Freon again. He's like, okay, so how do we stop this? And I explained to him, I said, we can either change out just the coil upstairs that's leaking, or what you really need to do is swap out the condenser. You know, I told him which is the outdoor unit and the evaporator, and move to 410A, blah, blah. So that's what he chose to do. So when we did the job, we kept the existing gas furnace because it was fine. And gas furnaces don't see a lot of runtime here, so they last a really long time. We butted the Ream coil to the Goodman furnace, and we attached, this is very important that you listen to this part, okay? We attached to the existing plenum and to the existing flex ducting coming off the plenum. That's very important that you listen to that. So this year rolls around and he's got a sweating duct in the living room. I said, okay. So we went out and addressed the issue. And the only thing I could see is the box, the insulation. The box was insulated on the inside of the box, not wrapped on the outside. The only thing I could see was the insulation on the inside was old and it wasn't doing its job. So we insulated the exterior of the box in the attic. We wrapped the whole box from bottom to top and even wrapped around where the flex duct goes. And I texted him a couple days later to see if that had solved the problem. He said, it seems it did solve it. It hasn't sweated. I said, okay. So about a week later, he texted me and said, hey, it's leaking just as bad again since it's gotten really hot again. I said, okay. I said, we're going to have to change the box. Now, this is where the customer got upset. Due to my workload, I still have not made it there to change the box. So he started getting pissy through text message. Hey, it's been so many days, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, man, I understand, but I got to take care of these people that are calling and saying it's 90 degrees in my house, blah, 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 blah. I said, I'm sorry. Don't take this the wrong way, but they take priority over your sweating vent. You know, he didn't want to hear that. So, I I set a day to where I was going to go and change the box. And I wasn't able to make it that day because, first of all, my guy that works with me full time, his truck was in the shop. We've had a little bit of some knick-knack issues with it that are fixed now. And the day that I scheduled to go over there, me and my guy were going to go together. His wife went into labor and their baby was born. So I spent all day. I mean, we were together for like an hour, and his wife called and said, "Hey, your mom's taking me to the hospital. I'm in labor." So I was like, "Go, dude," you know, and he left. So I ended up being by myself that whole day. And once I told him that I couldn't make it that day, he blew his top, and he ended up calling out another company. So, which I told him, that's fine, man. I said, I'm just not the right contractor for you. I said, because when you want something, you want it now, now, now. And I said, I'm just not that guy, So I don't have a problem with anybody leaving me a bad review as long as you tell the truth, which he completely did not. So sure enough, after I texted him and told him that I couldn't make it because of, my other guy's wife going into labor and all that. And I get a notification on my phone that it was his name had left me a review on my Facebook page. And I knew, I said, oh boy, this ought to be good. So when I get pulled over, once I stop and get where I'm going, first thing I do is put the truck in park and I look at this review, and it's a long, long review. A lot of it was so inaccurate. And, but the best part was, I guess the next day he hit the edit button and he went down a couple spaces and put some stars and put update. And he put the company's name come out, and they fixed John's mistakes. Now, this is where if you were listening earlier, this is where that comes in. He said they had to fix John's mistakes, which I kind of figured. That's what he said. So, the customer said below what are the notes left on the invoice from the other company, and the issue has been resolved. And this is what the other company had to say. Oh, I forgot to. Yeah. He also had a bathroom vent that was sweating, not nearly as bad as the other one, but still. Okay. So it's their description on the invoice said called out for 2 sweating vents, one in living room, one in bathroom. Found both flex ducts, that's key, not tied to the box or plenum correctly, and not enough insulation around the boxes. I guess he's talking about like the blown in insulation not surrounding the boxes, because these boxes are insulated on the inside, keep in mind. But the main issue they said was the flex ducting was not connected to the box or the plenum right. Remember, I never touched the man's flex duct. When I changed the coil and the condenser, we attached the coil to the to the existing plenum and flex duct. So the other company comes out and resolves the issue apparently on something that I never touched. Because again, we attached to the existing plenum and the existing flex duct. I never touched this flex duct. I never installed any of it. I never uninstalled any of it. I never did anything to it. But that's what the problem the other company said it was. That the other company said that was the problem. So the customer put all that blame on me. Although in his review, although I never touched the man's flex duct. Not one time. So it just, like I said, I don't have an issue with people leaving me a bad review, but be honest, tell the truth, which he did not. Phone number is going across the screen if you want to call in and talk about this, talk about what my customer said or ex-customer, or if you have your own little story. And the email address is on the screen as well if you want to email anything to me.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, John. This is Josh Conway.
How you
I
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
Oh, not too bad.
Uh, Tell me about. I've been watching your channel for a very long time, and I just wanted to say that you have really helped me out a lot.
I
But
appreciate
just
that.
by watching, just by watching your videos and stuff, I'm going to school for this. I'm going to trade school for heating and cooling.
Oh, okay.
Um. So that's what I've been doing. And after a few years of me working with somebody, I plan on starting an LLC. Hopefully, I can be successful with that. You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just just
Um,
just don't jump into it too fast. You want to get some, field experience under
right.
under your belt uh
Right.
before you jump into business for yourself.
Right. But I'm sorry you had to deal with that customer. That's mainly what I called you about. I just wanted to say I'm sorry you had to deal with somebody like that. You know.
Oh, you don't have to apologize about that. I mean, I deal with yeah, I mean, you're going to learn, you're going to deal with uh difficult customers all the time. Some are a lot more difficult than others.
All right. Yeah, I can totally understand that. I deal with difficult people all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just like over a plenum box. It's like
Well,
it's gonna sweat.
it wasn't even the plenum. It was one of his vents in the living room that was sweating.
Uh,
And
yeah.
the other company said that the flex duct was the issue. It wasn't on right. It wasn't on the box right. And it
All
wasn't
right.
and it wasn't on the plenum right. My microphone is up, gentlemen. It's working fine. Uh
You have microphone issues.
I mean, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, my microphone's working. So anyway, When I attached to the existing plenum and
Mm-hmm.
never touched his flex duct.
All right.
So on his review, I caught the blame for that, although I never touched it.
All right. Well, like I said, it's just people are going to be difficult, unfortunately. I've come to realize that myself. That
Yeah.
it's. I wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for me for whenever I do go out into the HVAC field?
Just pay attention and learn everything you can from your from
Employer?
from your employer or your journeyman you're working with or what.
Right. Well, I'm supposed to hear back from a guy tomorrow. I called him, and they said that they're highly interested in taking me on as an apprentice.
Right.
While I'm in school, so I can get some, you know, uh, I don't know, but like tips and tricks, type thing.
Right.
And I guess they're willing to take me on. Um, but hopefully I could be successful at this. I've been into this stuff ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
uh, believe it or not, I've been so interested into this stuff. I have a thermostat collection
Oh yeah.
sitting in my bedroom
Oh well
on my
yeah.
TV nightstand.
Yeah. Well
Um,
that's good.
And I'm slightly autistic, so I don't know if that has anything to do with me being in the trade. I hope that don't decline me from being in the trade. I hope people will see my real potential
Yeah, I'm sure they
at what
will,
I can
man.
do.
I'm sure they
What's
will.
that?
I'm sure they will.
I hope so, because it's just like, I don't know, some people are just really judgy about it. Like I was in learning support all my time in high school, I got more time to like take certain tests and stuff, Um, yeah, I was in learning support all my life,
Yeah.
but I hope that doesn't define who I am because
No, man.
I'm going to do the right thing.
I got an autistic son, and you'll be just fine.
Well, thank you.
Hey, man, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, John. You have a good day. Okay.
You too. Have a good night.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay. I don't know why you guys are complaining about my mic, because I mean I've got the volume all the way up. Hello. Oh, that might be too much. Okay. Is that better? Does that sound better to you guys? I turned the gain up. Hello. Is my mic sound better? Okay. Some of you are saying it's improved. It's a little better. Yes, no. I need to know if it sounds better or okay. I think we're good. Caller was loud. Okay, well I can adjust the caller when they call in.
Unknown caller.
Hello.
Hey, John, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm not an HVAC guy. I'm just a regular customer.
Oh, okay. Can you mute your YouTube in the background?
Yes, I'm gonna mute you, sir. I apologize for that. I'm here in Florida, and I just wanted to make a comment or two
Okay.
comments. Uh, Number one, the idea that the customer is always right, I think, is wrong because it supposes that the customer knows everything and doesn't make mistakes. So the premise that the customer is always right is just completely flawed. Customers don't know all the facts, don't have all the information, and certainly can make mistakes. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about customers like the ones you've probably encountered
Well,
or
no,
had
because
experience with.
it doesn't matter what I tried to do for this guy.
Right.
It was never good enough. You know, he wanted to be put in front of everybody.
Right, right. And then my second comment that you brought about earlier about the customer calling a second technician or company to get, I guess,
To
an
check,
opinion about the work you did.
yeah, to check my work. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing, and I'll explain why. I had a brand new system installed about a year ago. I had a York Champion York
Mm-hmm.
Johnson control system installed, and to be honest, they did a great job as far as I knew. About 6 months later, I had a tune-up done, and when I scheduled for a tune-up, I said, "Hey, listen, I just had a new system installed. I want to have my tune-up done, but I also want my system to be evaluated as far as how well it was installed and everything." They came back, they did my tune-up. The tune-up came out fine, but they did find that there were some PVC connections that weren't glued in place, and there was like 1 or 2 screws that were missing.
Okay, so
So,
okay,
you know,
since we're speaking to a customer,
yeah.
why didn't you call the installing company to come do the tune-up?
Well, unfortunately, in my case, and this is not a case for everyone, obviously, I've been burned before. Like when I bought my house, new construction, the HVAC company that installed the system did a lot of stuff that was just bad. I mean, I don't know much about HVAC, but I'll give you an example. They installed the system, and it was a temp star, and there's a board inside of the inside unit,
Uh-huh.
and there's supposed to be a fuse on there. Well, they put a fuse, but when that fuse when there was a problem with that board and they removed the fuse, they actually had a wire like hardwired in there, so the fuse was really doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So and that was just one example of things that I have had experience with that particular company, and like that, other things. I mean, they didn't want to replace a thermostat that was under warranty. It was just a bad experience. So after that, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna double check, and that's where I get my logic from. But again, my point wasn't. I never had an issue with the people that just installed my AC, but I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to kind of get a look over to see if they did a good job. And I just recently had a tune-up done by that company
Right.
that installed the system, and everything was fine. But I just was paranoid.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
I've been burned, man. That's the thing.
well, look, man, with as far as like I've had customers, or I've been with customers like, or customers call me and say, look, I had this unit put in about a year ago, and something just doesn't seem right, and I go behind another company. But this lady had the guy come out the next day after I put the system in. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's
But to be clear, I never, ever, ever, ever give them a bad review. In fact, I always gave them a positive review.
right.
And when I did call them for the tune-up recently, I said, listen, I had someone do the tune-up previously, and they identified that you guys overlooked. I mean, it could happen. Things happen, right? And just so that this stuff happened. And they said, well, we're sorry. And they brought up the thing you said, which was, well, you could have called us.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just felt it was important for me to, you know, get that second look over by another company to make sure I didn't get shafted like I got shafted the first time around when I had the house built.
Right. Because I do I try to keep my customers, if I do a change out for them or something, I want them to call me to do the tune-ups, not somebody else. I want to do the maintenance on it and stuff. So
I haven't had luck with tune-ups, to be honest, because I've seen a lot of HVAC techs on YouTube, including yourself, and it's all over the place. I mean, not ever have I had a tune-up guy come over here and actually take out the grill where the motor on the condenser is and actually clean out anything there. They've never really used the hose to clean the condenser. All they do is they come in, they check the electrical amperage or whatever outside. They go inside and check BS. They don't really do much. I don't know if it has to do with the price, because I mean the tune-ups I get are about between $40 and $60. Maybe it's that. But
well, yeah, and that's exactly what it is. A tune-up is exactly what it is. It's a tune-up and a cleaning.
yeah,
we can't afford to be
correct
doing all that stuff, for $60 or $70 or however much you're doing it for.
But they never even told me that. Listen, if you pay us $30 more, we'll be. They never even offered that. And I'm in Florida. I mean,
right.
I don't know if that's customary here or not.
Now,
but they never even offered it to me.
On a tune-up, I'll take a blower motor assembly out and clean it if it's dirty. But I won't pull and clean an evaporator coil. I'll do it, but it's going to cost more money.
Well, but even out here for the condenser, they never even bothered. In my old AC, they never bothered to even hose it down.
Oh,
nothing.
no!
So now I do that myself.
No. I don't use chemicals on all of them. I mean, they have to be really dirty. I don't like to use.
No, I mean just regular water.
Yeah, I don't like to use.
Shower.
I don't like to use chemicals unless I have to. But no, we always rinse the condenser.
They've never done that for me around here. Never.
Yeah, that's not right. So.
And I've had different, even the company that did the tune-up for me, that told me that the things were missing, screws and the glue. Not even they did that. They didn't bother rinsing anything or nothing.
Well, next time you get a tune-up and they don't do it, bring it up. Ask them.
Yeah. It's just that I'm not very confrontational, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna have to, man, because it's ridiculous,
Yeah, just ask them why they're not cleaning the outdoor coil. But
hey, anyway, man, I think you do a great job, and that's why I follow you. And I've sent you emails to try to help you with questions you have and stuff. I mean, I don't know much, so
yeah. Well, look,
I
man,
just use Google.
I appreciate you watching me, and I thank you, and I thank you for the call.
All right, buddy, have a good one.
You too. So that was a customer. I never understood why, not a homeowner, I should say. So somebody asked me what I was drinking. It's a Aquafina water with a sugar-free, one of those little sugar-free packets that I poured in to a cup of ice. That's what I'm drinking. Anyway, I never understood why people have somebody come put in a system for them, like he said, and then have another company come do a tune-up. It blows my mind. Sometimes the way customers think blows my mind. For no good reason, they'll have somebody come put a system in, and then a year later they're like, "Oh well, shit. Who can I call for a tune-up?" Call the guy that just put the damn unit in. I mean, but I'm very clear with my customers. Some people think that if you do an install like that, that's all you do. And I explained to them, no, I do everything. So my customers are usually pretty good about sticking with me. Unless it's Mr. Sweaty Vent that can't wait. He doesn't have any patience. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Austin. Yeah, I think it's a Propel packet. Poured in here, shake it up, and then I poured it into a cup of ice. I don't discuss pricing on YouTube. I just had new maintenance contracts made, and I had in big bold letters put customers with complete or no AC or complete outages or something like that take priority over maintenance calls. So I've had a couple contractors call me. But I don't work for contractors. Got something flying in on my webcam there. I was like dying of thirst. So, yeah, man. That guy with the sweat and vent, he really got his panties in a bunch, and I thought it'd be a pretty good topic. You know, I tell my customers straight up, if I go on an estimate, I'm not the cheapest estimate. You can find a cheaper estimate than me, but I'm definitely not the most expensive estimate either. So, but you know, I do a pretty good job. I mean, I think I do. I mean, my change outs, look, I'm sure there's plenty of you guys that can look at pictures of my change outs and knick-knack this and knick-knack that. Hey, and that's fine, but I really do try to do the best job I can. I try to make sure my wires are clean and, you know, ran clean, zip tie them together, the float switch wires, low voltage wires, high voltage wires. I do use, you know, Romex connectors and everything. I mean, I try to, I really try to do the best job I can. So the Goodman pick, it's on YouTube. I tried to share the screen, but my computer's not it. I had fixed it and it's not letting me do it again. I got to fix it again. So I was going to share the screen, but it came out really nice.
Ted Cook.
Well, hello, Ted.
What's up, man?
Oh, not much. How about you?
Are you still live, John?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I walked away from the screen for a minute.
Yeah.
Just thought I would call you about that situation you had there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I get it. I know it happens. And, you know, from the consumer's point of view, he doesn't understand all that, likely doesn't, and really may have no way to comprehend what's going on. And, you know, if you had just installed the system, now I'm going to say very little on behalf of the consumer. So don't get me wrong. I'm not taking the other side.
No, and
'Cause
I
I'm
and I hadn't
absolutely
just
on your
installed the
side. I'm on
system.
your side.
Yeah,
I'm
we
on
put
your side.
we put the
You know
system
that.
in last year.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a few days ago.
No.
Yeah, that was something different y'all were talking about. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, so it's considered a warranty call, even though it's really not. And a lot of
Right.
times I get out and I say, okay, we have a potential warranty call here,
Mhm.
meaning I don't know what went on, but you know, we sold the system, so they get warranty status, and warranty status with us is same day, no matter what.
Mhm.
That's just the way it is, and the nature of the beast is you're going to get there probably 8 times out of 10, and it's really nothing to do. You know, change outs are tough because you do only equipment, and everything else belongs to them.
Right.
But if a drain clogs, they feel like it's yours.
Right.
And honestly, if you didn't really flush it well to begin with, it may be yours. Like a drain shouldn't clog for 4 or 5 years after your new system. But anyway, back to the point here. You know, the leg you may have had to stand on there was to try to explain. Well, first of all, you got to understand his point of view is he deserves some priority. And I think you were probably giving it to him, because let's look at this example right now. If you call me right now, like somebody did about 2 hours ago, okay, today's Wednesday, I'm booking for Friday.
Mhm.
All right. And I'm a mid-sized company. We're not the biggest around. We're certainly not a smaller guy, but you know, smaller one man like some of these guys are. But the thing is, that's the best I've got. Now, on a priority situation, had that been warranty, it would have been in the first half of the day tomorrow, or potential warranty.
Right.
But the situation there, you know, is likely. Well, first of all, you didn't touch any of that,
Mhm.
but you probably you took out a tired, worn out, barely working system,
Mhm.
and you put a much more efficient, much better working system in. You know, you look at all of the factors involved. The old one could have been worn out, tired, partially clogged up. It could have been at 50% performance.
Right.
And you go in there, and often these days, because if we look at 20 years ago, we had 4 or 5 days a year that would be 100 degrees. Today we have about 60, actually y'all have about 90 days that can be 100 degrees,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Or 95 to 100. You get the point, though. In
Right.
excess of the design. You know, we're at 91 degrees here. Your design is probably 93 or 4 down there.
Right.
So we often upsize a half a ton, especially if it's a 2-story on the top floor. We'll go up a half a ton, regardless of ductwork, regardless of what. We may increase a return,
Mhm.
and then that'll increase a little bit of static pressure, but we still need the BTUs, or we're going to get the constant complaints. So it's like a, you know, darned if you do, darned if you don't situation.
Right.
A double-edged sword, a catch-22. If you size it as according to their ductwork, because, you know, they're not going to buy duct in everything most cases.
Right.
But if you size it according to their ductwork, it's going to hit 78 or 79 on a 100-degree day. If you go up a half a size, the air is going to be much colder coming out, especially because you don't have the volume.
Mhm.
So you could explain to the guy that, you know, this system's making a lot colder air than before, and that's why we're having these sweating problems. You know, plastic grills are a little better than metal grills.
Mhm.
And if you didn't do the duct, I mean, there's a lot of little stuff you can do. I'm not going to say you could solve his problems without something he's going to have to pay for. But at the end of the day, he could possibly be willing to upgrade some more sand. And you can't always get to like, I don't know what kind of duct that was sweating. You know, there was 2 of them. Now the bathroom is normal. That's that's a moist area. That's probably going to sweat. It's a real small, cold, confined.
Right.
You may need to reduce the air going in there. But this other one that he had sweating in his living room or wherever, it's possible you could increase the size of that, increase the flow, speed it up,
Mhm.
change it to a plastic grill. There's a lot of little stuff you can do, but once he's convinced that the added efficiency and the added demand of BTUs versus what he had before, you could possibly even get more money out of him upgrade wise. But now I'm talking about normal people. This guy here sounds like, just from what little I heard you say, sounds like he might have been a little bit difficult, a little bit entitled, a little bit of a kin, how they call them,
Right.
Ken and Karens.
Right.
He might have been a little bit of, and he wanted you to basically drop what you were doing
Yes.
right then and come running over there.
Yeah.
And, it's really hard. It really is. But the thing is, you gotta suck it up and do that kind of stuff when you really can't.
And I had every intention, and I had already ran over there a time prior to that, because I went wrap the outside of the box. And
oh Lord, what kind of box are we talking about?
it's a 10 by 10 by 8 inch, and it's insulated on the inside.
And what, an internally lined box, but is that box essentially a boot?
No, it's not. It's not like a boot. It's a 10 by 10 square box with a round 8-inch collar built on the top of it.
Yeah, but that's a supply vent or what?
Yes.
Okay, and there's a grill.
A grill down
adjacent-
in the house. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, and so you wrapped the outside of it to try to fight the sweating, right? Yeah. So I wonder, how well humidity control was within the room itself. Because but there again,
according to the other company, they said that the flex duct was not tied on properly at the box or at the plenum, and there wasn't enough insulation around the box.
and that's after you touched it or before?
Oh, that's after, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's talking about the insulation in the attic, surrounding the box.
Yeah.
But I mean,
What'd you insulate it with? You didn't use like that air stuff, did you? I mean, you used regular duct wrap.
yeah.
I don't know what they could have been talking about then. What were you
Yeah.
supposed to do? Double it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I didn't touch the flex. I never took the flex off the box or
Yeah.
or off the plenum. So, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. So basically what I'm hearing is you sold him a change out without any ductwork, maybe just some retrofit, and then you went back to address a concern and worked on his existing ductwork in attempt to satisfy a situation that really wasn't your responsibility to begin with.
Right, and I didn't even charge him for it.
Well, of course, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't charge him
No.
to go back and try to rectify the problem.
No, I didn't.
So, I mean, you made some attempt and some good faith, money out of your pocket. I mean, the wrap wasn't free. Your time wasn't free. The fuel, whatever else wasn't free.
Right.
And you went back and did this. And so, he ended up wanting a second opinion, I guess, or wanted a faster second opinion. I don't know what it was that
He
the guy
wanted faster service than I could give him.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I don't know if his level, a lot of times people will be just as nice as they can be because you got a good price on something, and then they want to turn around and snap and be, boneheads about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or a lot of times they just, when they don't get what they want or what they think you should give them,
Right.
So if you were there repairing his other system that you didn't never touch, and you were there working on it, and he waited in line for you to get there, and somebody else called that felt like they were more important, he probably would not appreciate you, promising him, hey, I'm going to fix you at lunchtime. And then you call him and say, hey, somebody else is more important, so I'm going over there to them, and I'll be at your house at 3 or 4 o'clock.
Right.
They don't want to look at it that way.
Right.
But I just was curious if, this was some situation where, like, I've had in my own house, I've had boots sweat on the inside. Now my attic is spray foamed and it's sealed and it's not humid and it's conditioned, but the humidity in the room can reach dew point because it's so cold. And that's the thing about a 20 SEER system. It wants to run nonstop and slow the volume way down to make a really lengthy cycle to dehumidify well and to save money. But the thing is, it never gets a break. It's constantly cold. So that boot just gets colder and colder and colder. And it's almost sucking moisture out of the air to find it and draw it to it.
Right.
And I'll walk by in my socks and step on a wet spot. I mean, it's my personal house.
Right.
And I'm saying, what the heck? And I realize the boot's right above my head, So I'm curious, is it coming off the grill or is it coming out of that box
Right.
in the attic? I'm curious as to what. I don't know that you could wrap that box enough to change the humidity level on the interior space. Why is it reaching dew point? And, if you sit a glass of ice water on a table, it's going to get wet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That water did not come through the glass. It was gathered in the environment. So, how well are we exchanging air in that room? Is the one vent too cold? Do we need to increase the intake versus supply, how rapid we're turning that air over in the room in order to dehumidify better? Where do you think the humidity's coming from? Where do you think the water's coming from that's gathering on his grill?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I never got to go back and look at it again. But according to the other company on their notes that he left on the review, it's because the flex duct wasn't sealed properly to the box and the plenum.
Okay. And so that was leaking air and blowing cold air onto that box, causing that box to get colder than normal.
I guess.
And that's an internally lined box.
Yes.
Plus you wrap the outside.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time believing that. That reminds me of these people that get their crawl spaces. I know you don't see a lot of crawl spaces, but we'll have our ductwork wet from one end to the other, just a drip or a droplet on the bottom every 2 or 3 inches on the ductwork. And they think this water is coming through the machine. The machine's making water, and all my ductwork is wet because of this air conditioner.
Right.
And I have to. Now you can't say it right off the bat. You have to do the ice water on the counter thing. You have to kind of lead them in to help them understand what's going on before you just come right out and say, "Look, that's your water gathering on my ductwork. It's not my ductwork making water in your crawl space."
Right.
So it's in the environment. So, if we establish this is my ductwork, I'm responsible for this duct, right? So we can call it mine, right? And they're sucked right into that. Oh, well, yeah, this is yours. Yeah, I paid you to put it in here. Okay. Well, it's not my house. This is not my dirt. This is not my crawl space. This is not my air. This is not my real estate. So the environment here belongs to you, and this piece of air duct belongs to me. Is that fair to say?
Right. Right.
And they suck into that, and then I can say, well, this is your water gathering on my cold surface. Now you want cold air, I can't make this thing less cold or it won't cool the house.
Right.
So you've got to control the humidity in the environment. You've got to, either encapsulate or partially encapsulate and put some dehumidification down here in the crawl. Otherwise, all of your humidity in your space from real estate that you own is going to gather on my cold surface, and you're blaming it on me.
Right.
You probably don't run into that kind of thing there.
Mm-mm.
But regardless, the fact is the guy probably thinks the air unit you put in is somehow causing that water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, where's the water coming from?
Right.
So I would determine that before I did anything. Like if it's not coming around the edges, you should be able to take the grill off and reach up in there, and all of that insulation, which I don't buy, I don't believe it for a minute. But in order for the theory to hold water, that the duct's not connected right and the insulation not being, sealed or enough insulation properly, whatever, that not being enough of a factor, then it should be wet inside. And I bet you it's not. I bet you it's just the grill that is getting cold and getting wet. And that is just like a glass of ice water sitting on the table away from that grill. If you let that ice water sit there 20 minutes, the outside of that glass is going to be wet. And you ask him, do you think that water came through the glass, or do you think that glass was cold and it gathered all the water out of the environment here? So essentially, this is your water gathering on my grill, since you say this is my grill, right? This is your water gathering on my grill, and you're blaming me for it.
Right.
So once you get on the same page, then you say, well, let's look at some solutions. Let's see what we can do to better dehumidify this space. Because it sounds like that's probably the problem. I mean, I don't for 1 minute believe, look, his sheetrock would be staining.
Right.
I don't for a single minute believe that box that you wrapped, and you just went the extra mile to try to over ensure that it's not something to do with anything that could point to you. I mean, this is water from the environment. This is humidity from the room. Now, how do you know this? How do you know he doesn't turn his air way up while he's gone and then come home and crank it down?
Right.
And that will definitely cause it not to be dehumidified properly in the room. Maybe he turns it to 78 and he's gone to work all day, comes home at 5 o'clock. Now, I don't know that's happening. I'm just going through some scenarios to say, we've got a lot of variables here that we got to figure out.
Right.
And maybe he turns it down to 70 when he gets home and he says, well, I'm not home. I'm not going to pay to run it. I'm not pay all that money to run it while I'm gone.
Yeah.
And if he's doing that, then the humidity is, but listen, man, somebody that lives in Louisiana ought to know it's a humid area.
Yeah.
I mean, I know y'all fight with humidity.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that's a big part of, if the better they dehumidify, the less they really have to be cold in there to feel comfortable.
That's right. That's right.
So I just wonder if you couldn't, now, is the guy going to give you another chance? I mean, is he actually going to?
No.
Because here's my bottom line here. I bet you anything that grill's still going to sweat tomorrow.
I'm not getting another chance. According to his review that he left on my Facebook page, the other company has resolved the issue.
And he believes that, but they just left.
Right, exactly.
Like, look at your dates. When did this happen? All of this happened too fast. You know what? A fella one time, and he's one of the smartest customers I ever had. He told me one time, he said, I'm not going to leave he's asked me, do you expect all your customers to leave a review? And I said, well, no, I don't ever solicit a review because that's not a true review.
Right.
Customer leaves a review because he wants to. I'm just hoping that I can satisfy you and I do a good job and you're happy and I'm going to move on. That's up to you about the review. And he said, well, I'll go ahead and tell you, I do want to leave you a review, but I'm not going to do it for a year. And I had to think just a half a second there. And I realized, you know what? That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
I promised him his bills would go down. I promised him his comfort would go up.
Right.
I promised him that it was a good, dependable machine because I was going to install it properly.
Right.
So he was smart enough to say, well, I'm going to give you a review, but I'm not going to do it for you. That guy was an accountant, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm not going to do it for a year. And that's when I know how good of a job you've done. And I thought to myself, well, really, you don't know for longer than that. But yeah, I'll accept that.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty smart. So this guy here that you're talking about, and it's hard to get, it's hard not to be aggravated by something like that. And it's hard to stay in the, well, yes, sir, let's discuss it a little bit. Let's investigate this. Let's get you happy. Let's get your problem fixed. Let's make sure of that. It's hard to stay in that mode when someone's already thrown, rocks at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to still stand there and try to talk kind to them. But in the end, you could turn out, with a difficult guy that, if you can please an easy guy, you ain't done nothing.
Right.
If you can please a really difficult guy, you can say you earned that review. So you could turn this guy around and get more referrals out of him. And, that could happen, because what I'm willing to bet, John, is that grill is still going to sweat if all they did was affected the flex connection in the attic. I'm assuming it's an attic.
Yeah, they said that whoever installed the flex just used Panduit straps. They didn't tape the flex to the
Well,
you know.
I do believe that they should be taped. However, if that Panduit strap was put on with a gun and it was tight,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna leak.
Right.
If the inner liner and the outer liner were done with straps. Now, I don't really like that. I like tape gobbed around it and then a couple screws through it.
Yeah.
And then pull the outer jacket up and use a Panduit on the outer jacket.
That's how I do it. When I put,
If there's a long enough collar to have a bevel,
yeah,
to get behind.
I put the black liner on and tape it, and then we slide the insulation jacket and put a Panduit around that.
If there's a bevel on a long enough
Right.
collar. Right. And then it ain't coming off.
No.
Especially if you use the tool with the strap. But the bottom line is this, and I'm sorry to be so, I think a lot of you think a lot of your channel, think a lot of you got your business back off the ground. I'm glad to see you got on top of that weight issue. I think you can, you got yourself a good head start here. And I'm just one of the old guys calling in and but I really believe from everything I've heard, that guy's grill is going to sweat just like it had.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
They haven't affected anything. They just convinced him they did. Or maybe they changed it to a plastic one that'll sweat a little less than a metal one,
Right.
but it's still going to sweat. That environment in there is still, it's just hard for me to believe it's coming from that. I'll call it a boot or that distribution box, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Just hard for me to believe. Another strange thing is, why is there a boot that big in a room and an 8? Is that not an 8 in a room that should have had 2 6s for a better spread?
Right.
Or possibly even more than that. Like, there's a lot of factors involved. And it just sounds like that wasn't the best original design of install duct-wise that there could have been.
Right.
It could be out in the middle of the room instead of on the exterior wall. It could be, one big grill dumping a bunch of air that's enough to cover the room, but it's dumping it all in one spot and going back to a return. Whereas there's a dead corner that's just getting more and more humid because there's not enough air exchange in the room. Maybe it needed a Y. I hate Ys, but maybe it needed to be split to 2 6s. Instead of, I hate Ys on trunk lines, and that's not so bad at the end of a single run to split it, but maybe it needed to be spread out more so that it could cover the whole room on its way back to the return and pull all the humidity out instead of, where's the return? Because you always got to remember the door is the return.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a central return, wherever the return is, the return to supply stream could be leaving a dead corner or a dead half the room.
Right.
And there's humidity building, a heat pocket building, and it may be enough air to keep them cool, but it just sounds to me like there's a lot more details here that this next company he called in, I don't know how bright they were.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
how is that flex duct connection and a double wrapped boot, and I'm still just going to call it a boot because it's connected to the ceiling and grill. How in the heck is that causing the grill to sweat and drip?
Right.
There's humidity issues in that room or in that house. There's some infiltration somewhere possibly. Now, I ain't a blower door guy, but they are effective. I'm just not one. I just don't need all that,
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like I don't need a puller. I just got a few tools and take it apart. I don't need a blower door to figure out what's going on.
Right.
But the blower door is like a gimmick, man. That's like a sales tool, but what you got to be selling what? Windows, doors, seal. You got to be selling everything to really get any money out of this blower door, or you got to be using it to defend yourself if your heating and air is not working well. Those are the only reasons I see that those blower doors would do any of us any good, is defending ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do.
It's too bad that you can't get back in there, or maybe wait another week or two and just drop him a note, or possibly call him up, or stop by and knock on the door.
Yeah.
And just say, listen, we learn every day. Is this grill really stopped? And if you're humble enough and smiling and asking him, maybe he talks to you and says, well, as a matter of fact, it's still dripping, just not as much, as much. Or maybe he's psychologically convinced himself that it's not as much. But from everything I've heard you tell about that situation, it's hard for me to believe that grill is still not dripping and that it got fixed by what you're describing. I don't believe that for 1 minute. Do you?
No, I don't. Not just by putting a couple rounds of tape on the flex duct is going to solve the issue.
Or tightening the insulation when it was double insulated anyway.
Right.
I just don't believe that. In other words, where is the water coming from? Where's the humidity coming from?
Mm-hmm.
I walked off, so I hope the guys in your chat ain't mad because I called in trying to dominate your show.
No,
I'm not really trying to do that, man. I'm just talking. You and I talk a lot.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just
absolutely
carrying on, man. I'm just calling up, carrying on with you.
Well, no. Thanks for calling, though.
Well, that's a pet peeve of mine. I can't stand to get that quick review, that responsive review. That's just not any. And the other key thing, don't ever even bring that up. Don't even bring the review up. Don't ask him to take it down. Now, this is just my opinion.
No, I didn't.
Don't ask him to take down nothing.
Nope.
Just, I'm curious. I'm wondering, because I've seen this once or twice, but it's just not very often. There's got to be something to learn here. There's got to be something to find out here. The curiosity, you're not after money. Somehow there might be a way to get back in there and get that, because you can't take the review off yourself, but he could.
Yeah, right. No, I'm not getting in a pissing contest with him. He pretty much told me, okay, well, I'm moving on to somebody else. And I said, well,
but you believe he has a problem, right? You believe the problem exists and he didn't make it up. Okay.
I also know the because he named the company that went out, and I've heard good things about him and I've heard not so good things about him. So, you never know.
And you don't know which tech went.
Exactly.
And some of them want to spout off about somebody else and some of them don't.
Right.
But the bottom line is the guy really doesn't know his tail from a hole in the ground.
No.
He really doesn't. So he's got a problem. It is a problem. It is there. So he's not making it up.
No, he's not, because I've seen it.
Right. So it seems to me there could be some more to it that you could get to.
Yeah. But it's out of my
I would
hand.
try.
It's out of my hands now. I may wait a little while and, touch base with him and apologize, that I couldn't get to him and try to get the truth out of him and see if they really did fix it.
And show some interest in it and say, well, I have some more ideas if it's still doing it.
Right.
And plan some time to come by and talk about it and look at those things we talked about. Look at the exchange, look at the return versus the supply, and look at the airstream. And is there dead space in there? It's just awful strange to have a duct that big and a box that big or a boot that big. I mean, how big is the grill? It's got to be 10 by 10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How big of an area is that covering?
A huge living room and high ceiling and high ceilings.
Okay. And is there more of them in there than that?
There's 2 of them.
Okay. And is that enough? And where's the return? And how powerful is the return versus the supply in that area?
Yeah, that I can't remember all that.
Well, you got to figure all that out because
I don't. If I'd have got to go back to the house, I would have. But I just can't remember at this point.
Well, there's 2 possibilities. One is infiltration, and 2 is an exchange problem. And is the exchange taking place without sweeping the entire area? Are those two vents on the outside wall completely? Are they off in the middle of the room?
No, the one that's sweating, the other one's on the exterior. This one's more towards like the foyer.
Yeah. There's more to that. I believe the guy has a legitimate problem.
Yeah.
I believe he's just pointing blame in the wrong direction because he doesn't know any better.
Right.
And you could end up turning that around. I don't know. It's just, once you get hundreds and hundreds of customers in reviews, it's almost like you've earned your negatives because there's always going to be 1 or 2 out of 100 that are just impossible to please.
Oh yeah. And this is
what you do.
And he's one of those guys that I don't know if I'm going to reach out to him. I have to think about it because there's no pleasing him.
Yeah. So usually when you give it some time, the problem is still there and you can end up saving it. But the thing, what I do, when I run into those 1 or 2 out of 100, and that's about as bad as it is here.
Right.
I just give them whatever else it is that they think they want or they think they deserve. And then I go home and thank the Lord for the other 97 or 98 out of 100 that I'm actually making a good living from.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty sure that in the last 10 years, you've gotten to that spot as well.
Oh yeah. Well, Ted, thanks for calling. I'm going to log off of here. I've been on here a pretty good while.
All right, man. I just wanted to poke in about that. Obviously, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you get it turned around.
Yeah, maybe so. I'll let you know.
Apologize to your chat for me for
me
calling up, just carrying on.
No, they're fine. The chat loves you, so you're good.
All right, buddy. You have a good night.
You too, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
See you.
All right. Hey guys, that was a good chat with Ted. I've been on here about almost an hour and a half, so I'm going to shut this down. I got to get some moderators. If you're interested in being a moderator, because I'm seeing a lot of trolls in the chat. I don't like the way the chat went tonight. I'm a little disappointed with this stream. I feel like the chat wasn't even really talking about the topic that we were talking about. Some of these guys like Austin and these legit guys, shoot me an email going across the screen if you'd like to become a moderator. I need some good moderators. But anyway, thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next stream.